Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Matt here, and we back with another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. This is going to be a very interesting video because I don't know if everyone is aware, if you took notice, if you took a couple of notes, but in the MMA sphere, in the MMA world, there's a little bit of trickery going on. And we're going to get into the trickery right now. And the trickery is in Dricus du Plessis defeating Robert the Reaper Whittaker. And everything that surrounds that, including Ariel Adesanya. So let's get off into it. So this is what I'll say. I'm going to kind of dance around the things. I want to say I'm not going to name any names in which where I'm taking shots at anybody or judging or anything like that. I'm naming names for more for historical purposes so people can go look these videos up themselves and give their own take right here on my channel in the comments. Feel free to let me know if I'm right, wrong. Is it Matt or is it fact? You let me know. So here's the deal. So I'm watching the MMA Hour today, one of my favorite shows on MMAfighting.com or just MMA Fighting, with hosted, of course, by the great Ariel Helwani. I've always loved Ariel Helwani. I always thought he was a good dude. I always enjoyed his takes and everything. But for the past few months, what's been going on with this Dricus and Izzy issue, what it's being spun into, to me, is a little bit of trickery. So let's just start with the Dricus fight. I'm not going to give a rundown of this whole situation. We ain't got time for that. What I'm here to do is we getting right to the facts. What's really real. We if y'all want to know the history between Dricus, Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, anybody like that, you Google it, you look it up, or you probably already know it because you're probably a huge MMA fan. Let's get into what I've seen today. So today, Ariel Helwani, at one point in the show, he's breaking down, kind of talking about the events over the weekend. So he brings up the whole Dricus thing. And this is what I kind of felt like was going to happen with a lot of people in MMA media. Okay, we're not going to get into what, should things have been said this way, brought up this way, whatever the case, by Dricus du Plessis, that upset Kamaru Usman and upset Israel Adesanya. We're not going to get into that. The fact of the matter is that he said what he said, and this is what's interesting about the MMA Hour, is they had Chael Sonnen on today. And Chael Sonnen and Ariel, they didn't go back and forth at all, but Ariel was basically trying to go through, the history and what Duplessis said, and, why Israel would take offense and apartheid, and, and the different things that were going on with all of that and how it relates to this and that. And it's just like, man, Chael called it for what it was, what I think a lot of people really saw. At the end of the day, man, Dricus du Plessis was trying to get a fight. He wasn't trying to make it racial. Okay? It wasn't about racial. It wasn't about the history of Africa and all these things. It was about, I actually live in South Africa. Not saying that these two men are not African, but I live in South Africa. I train in South Africa. And when I win the title, I'll be, the first, the only, however you word it, South African champion. So, yeah, I mean, come on, man. This is the UFC. How many champions, how many contenders have said, stuff that's kind of like whatever? How many of them have said racial things? I mean, come on. Like, it's just like, it's a reach, okay? But okay, so if Israel or other people took it that way, they took it that way. But let's get into this. So Ariel's saying all this, and, at the end of the day, Chael's like, look, man, he said what he had to say to get a fight. Chael weaved a tale that, this guy was not going to get a championship fight, period. He wasn't even, in the conversation. But he said what he said, and he got in the conversation. He goes out there against Bobby Knuckles. He beats Bobby Knuckles. And now he's going to get the title shot for the middleweight championship against Israel Adesanya. That's just what happened. That's what it is. You can tell, man, the dude wasn't saying this from a racial spot. He doesn't seem to be racial. He doesn't seem to have a problem with anything. Frankly, what I think is really, there's any number of things that could be going on. Maybe Israel did take offense to what Dricus said. To me, Israel somewhat strikes me kind of like Michael Jordan, and for those of y'all that didn't grow up watching Michael Jordan play, if you saw the documentary, The Last Dance, then you're going to identify what I'm saying. Some guys at the top that operate on that high level, high elite athletes, man, you win so much, you accumulate championships, you've been doing it for a long time, you've been in the game for years, you got all the money, now you got your family, you got houses, cars, endorsements, real estate, whatever, right? All the respect, all the admiration, you need more. You need something that keeps you getting up out of bed every day and continuing to go out there and keep going because you've already achieved all the success that you ever wanted. So sometimes you have to somewhat twist your own reality to drive you forward. You have to twist your own reality to push you forward so you can play at the highest level, or in this case, fight at the highest level. And I believe that's what Israel Adesanya does. With a lot of his fights, when you think about it, a lot of them, how much of it was really an issue between Izzy and the guy, really? Or it kind of seems like Adesanya's got a problem. And, or Adesanya couldn't take a joke or whatever the case. And being Izzy, being who he is, he manipulates it and twists it into this big thing of, you challenge me. You challenge my warrior pride, and I'm going to go out there botch, and I'm going to, how many times does that really happen? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I feel like the two are the same. I believe Israel needs something to push him, and so he hears these comments from this guy. I don't think he, yeah, of course he can take offense to it. People can take offense to anything, but I don't think it's really what he's playing it out to be. But he started playing that card, and now he's going to continue to play that card. It fires him up, as you saw in the cage from Saturday night. It gets him in it. It makes him want to get up and train and fight and go out there and defeat Dricus du Plessis and make a boatload more money. That's what it is. It's the same way that Michael used to, you could have been walking down the hallway and, look at Michael Jordan and say, "Have a good game, Mike." And keep going, and Michael's turning around. What did he mean by have a good game? What's he think? I can't have a good game anymore? I'm going to go out there and put up 65 points tonight. That's what be happening. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. It's just one of those things where I think it's a tactic that guys that are wired like them, that alpha drive forward mentality, they're going to use those type of tactics in order to propel themselves into training, into practice every day, into whatever the case is, to go out there and win that fight because they got all the money, they got all the success, they've already got the status as being one of the GOATs, one of the greats. What else is going to push them? That's what I mean. And I think, so then you got other people who maybe you might argue this is their job to commentate on these things, to be the pundits, to play devil's advocate, sometimes to play the contrarian, to, it's their job, to sell what's going on. Maybe, Ariel does fall within that space, but when you kind of look at it, it's just one of those things where it seems like to me, he is twisting what actually happened here between these two into something totally different, and it's working out for him. I'm not saying he's making any money off of it. I'm not saying it drives his clicks up or anything. I truly believe he's covering the sport. I don't feel like Ariel is a corrupt guy that's just going to make some stuff up and then go out there and do that to try to sell clicks or get money or whatever the case. I just don't see him as that type of a guy. But everybody believes in something. Everybody sees situations a certain way. I could be completely wrong. I want you guys to tell me, but I might be totally wrong. And I think he sees this primarily as, he's focusing in on the race. And I don't think the race was ever really a part of this until now. So on Saturday, you've got Dricus du Plessis. He steps in there with Bobby Knuckles. Everyone believes that Bobby Knuckles is going to go out there and do work. And he's going to get Dricus out of there. Why wouldn't he? He's only been defeated by Israel Adesanya, you know. Like, that's the only guy that's beat him to where we're like, wow, you know. So, I mean, and he's beaten him twice. So, you know, you're expecting him to go out there and do work. He's by far regarded, he was regarded as the second best middleweight in that entire division. So he goes out there, we're waiting on him to finish, and you're watching Dricus. And Dricus, at the beginning of the fight, he's doing his, he kind of has that awkward style, which, he said in the post-fight press conference that they trained that awkward style. This guy's awkward style, he's bouncing, he looks extremely awkward. His style looks sloppy, so to speak, but he makes it work for him. And, you're watching this round, and at the beginning of the round, Robert Whittaker is doing his thing. By the end of the first round, Dricus has him on the ground and pounding him. And like I said in my previous video, if he would have had another 30 seconds, he would have got Robert Whittaker out of there. So, okay. You're thinking in between rounds, they're talking to Bobby. He seems to be cool. They're talking about, whatever the strategy is, so on and so forth. They're checking him out. They're giving him water. They're tending to the cut. Also, Dricus cut his face. So they're tending to the cut on Robert Whittaker. But you're still thinking Robert Whittaker's going to start the second round and start doing Bobby Knuckles things. And he did. The round starts. He seemed to be comfortable. He seemed to be loose. He was kind of flowing a little bit. But what I notice is, Dricus just kind of sticks to it. And what I notice is right before the end of the fight, Dricus throws a jab and Bobby Knuckles is leaning forward. Before he throws the jab, he's leaning forward, baiting Dricus to throw a shot. So Bobby Knuckles can counterattack, counter-strike. He's extremely good at those counter-strikes, You never know what he'll throw. Usually a 1-2 combination ending with the third strike being a kick. You never really know. It's like pop, pop, kick. You never know. Robert Whittaker's got talent like that. So, but he's baiting him. He's leaning forward. And Dricus throws a jab. And it hits Bobby kind of maybe in the nose or in the mouth, somewhere in this area. And he kind of draws back, but it didn't really seem to faze him. And if you go back and look at that, this is in the second round, it looks like that Robert Whittaker felt like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And as he baits him again, Dricus catches him with the second jab. Well, I can't really call it a full punch, so to speak. I mean, he put his shoulder into it a little bit. But it kind of looked like a jab, and it was so solid, and it caught Robert also as Robert was kind of leaning in. So he's kind of going into that impact, going into that force, and it drops him. And, from there, Dricus finishes the fight. So now, here we are right now. What we're looking at is the UFC was not interested in having Robert Whittaker fight Izzy again. They're not interested in that. They're sick of it. But if they have to do it, they'll do it. Okay? That was before this fight. The UFC is interested in Dricus fighting Izzy, but they probably weren't completely confident that they could sell that fight, sell it, blow up the beef between the two, and make a ton of money off of it. So I think they're kind of like, we got to add something else to it. So, they made this fight. And while the fight probably didn't make a lot of sense, I didn't think it made a lot of sense either. But the reality of, I believe, what makes the UFC such a successful company isn't all the analytics and the numbers and everything they crunch. And if we do this and connect this dot and cross this T and dot this I, we're gonna do $500 million this year, guys. I don't believe that's what that company is about. Of course, they have that. That's not what that company is about. That company is built on gambling, on taking a gamble, and the UFC took a gamble. We could throw Bobby Knuckles in there with Izzy. Izzy will probably work him again, and the pay-per-view probably won't sell that well. And if Robert Whittaker wins, we can run it back again, but then we lost money because that first one, that third fight didn't really sell that well. If we throw Dricus in there, I mean, it's going to be big. Both guys don't like each other. They're going to build it up. But, I mean, a lot of the public is going to believe, like, I don't know who's this Dricus guy. I don't know who he is. But if we have them fight each other, just maybe, and we fly Adesanya there, put him in the building, just maybe we can spark something, and maybe something will rub off and people will want to see the Whittaker Izzy fight or something. There will be a fairy dust in the air, and Dricus du Plessis will defeat Robert Whittaker, and now he's solidified. They gambled. That's why that company, to me, is always so successful. And I think everybody wants to come down hard on them, which you should. The UFC does a lot of things wrong, but they do a lot of things right. And one of their biggest talents is the gamble, being able to gamble like, let's just roll the dice and see how this works out. And that's what they did. And it worked out with flying colors, with a slight caveat, a slight exception. That was where we were at. So we went into this fight. Dricus du Plessis has now defeated Robert Whittaker. And this is where the real gamesmanship starts. He knows Izzy is in the building. When he was coming down the aisle, they strategically placed Izzy right there where he can see Izzy in his peripheral vision. Right over here while he's getting the stuff put on his face and saying, thank you to his coaches, and he's turning around and he's about to go in the octagon. Izzy's right there. Du Plessis never looked at him. Never even gave him a glance. Okay, Izzy has admitted that he was a little toasty. He said he only did 2 drinks. The man probably did 6. He looked a little wasted, or he just can't hold his liquor. Either way, Dricus goes in there. He never looks at him. So now let's fast forward to the end of the fight. Now Dricus has won the fight. He leaves the cage, and you're thinking, okay, he's going to walk over to Israel Adesanya. He's going to get in his face. He's going to yell at him. Izzy's going to say crazy stuff back. Botched. I'm the main character of this movie, and you're going to get defeated. You know how Izzy do. He's going to do some old weird stuff. So, but what Dricus did, this is so powerful, so intelligent. Everything about fighting is mental. Very little of it is physical. Dricus beelines it and goes to Donald Trump and starts talking to him. And, he's talking to him, and he never looks at Izzy. Next thing you know, he's back in the cage. They announce the winner, yada, yada, right? So now he's doing his post-fight interview. He's still never said anything about Izzy. He hasn't sold it yet. Now they're bringing Izzy in the cage while he's talking to Joe Rogan. Izzy is standing right behind him. He knows Izzy is right there. I believe Mike Heck from MMA Fighting also pointed this out. Dricus never turns around and looks at Izzy. He never even looks at the dude. And you got to imagine, Izzy. I mean, like we know him personally, but Izzy. He's the center of attention. And he's sitting there and he's stewing. And he's mad. And even my wife, when we were watching this, she's like, why is he breathing so hard? And he's just heated. He's angry. And still Dricus hasn't acknowledged him. Then there was a point where it seemed like Joe was about to turn the attention of Dricus to Izzy, and Dricus continues speaking about Robert Whittaker. Now he's a legend, and he grew up watching him and all this stuff. And you're just like, bro. And this was epic because this drove Izzy insane. Because I've said in previous videos, I take nothing away from his talent, but the problem with Izzy is he's lame. You can tell he wasn't the man when he was young, and now he is. And that shows. It shows in his arrogance and everything. I'm not talking about his fighting style. He's one of the greatest middleweights of all time. He might go down as the greatest when it's all said and done. But, dude, the man's mental, while he is strong, he is fragile in his arrogance. So, Izzy, when he finally gets a chance to talk, he's so angry, he's so mad, he can't remember his rehearsed lines about 23andMe. He's calling it 36 and me, 26 and me, just the 2 of us, just the 8 of us. two peas in a pie. I mean, he's trying whatever he can try. You know what I'm saying? He can't remember none. He's drunk. You know what I'm saying? Homie's out there living his life. But he's angry that he's never been acknowledged, and he's just mad, and he's just fuming. And Dricus is calm, and he's collected, and Izzy is spewing these N words at Dricus, and he's saying all this stuff, and Dricus remains calm. Dare I say classy? It's probably not a stretch. And when it was all said and done, I mean, even though Dricus said a couple things back to him, you know, he kept it classy, and that was about that. And we was heading on to my favorite fight of the night, the flyweight title fight. Okay, so now let's speed forward to Ariel Helwani's interview or his show, and he's he and a lot of people in media, and I'm not saying he's wrong for this because I believe this is truly how he sees this situation. But this is not about race. Yes, that looms in the foreground. It does with everything in life. But this is not about race. Israel Adesanya is the one that said in his own podcast with his brother, was throwing racial slurs at Dricus. Israel Adesanya was the one that was saying all the slurs in the octagon on Saturday night. And like I was worried about, a lot of the media are just going to let the man skate for going off like that and saying a lot of things. I'm not saying he should be condemned, but a lot of people aren't willing to even admit, just flat out just say, I'm not against Izzy. Even if you agree with Izzy and you disagree with Dricus, at least say Izzy should not have did all of that. You should conduct yourself a little bit better in the octagon. That's just what it is, man. Because if you're going to let that slide, then let it slide when Dricus is saying a couple of things to try to get a fight. You know what I'm saying? Let that go too, because I don't really believe he's really making that about race. What he made that about is the fact that you guys say that you're from here and I still live here. And you all are wealthy. You don't even live here anymore. You made your money. You're gone. No one's saying they don't have homes there, period. But you're primarily known to live in two different regions, and I'm still here, and I'm the man who's coming for the title. He's trying to get a fight, bro. I was watching a post-fight show on, I believe it was on ESPN, after Kobe Covington had won a fight and was talking about Kamaru Usman should go back to his village and talking about chucking spears. And I mean, everybody just had to eat that one and keep it moving because Kobe's trying to get a fight. Well, Dricus is trying to get a fight too, bro. But to try to spin it like it's about race and to bring up all of this stuff from, Africa, South African history, it's like, bro, okay, yeah, we can open up a textbook. You know what I'm saying? We can open up a textbook. We can put out the Cliff Notes if y'all old enough to remember that. We can Google and find out a couple of things about the old African history. We can do that, bro. Ain't no big deal. Some of us already know it. We know it. We studied it. We know it. And it wasn't taught in school. But at the same time, that's not what this is. That's what you might believe that it is. No disrespect to Ariel, but that's what you might believe there is in a lot of other people. But that's not what this is. This is a guy trying to get a fight. And while that is in the background, that looms in the background of everything. And so many times we're told, oh, no, it's not about the race. It's about this. Well, okay, fine. So now it ain't about the race, bro. It's about trying to get a fight. And Izzy is the one that's leaning hard into the race. And if you haven't checked the temperature on Twitter, on Threads, or whatever new thing done popped out in the last 5 hours, check it on Facebook, check it on Twitter, check it on YouTube, check the temperature, you know what I'm saying? Check the dipstick in the engine, you dig what I'm saying? Bro, you're going to find out that the tide is turning in Dricus' favor. And Ariel might be the only guy today who's speaking on the side of Izzy. It's like, bro, conduct yourself. Okay, so you're upset. You took offense to what he said. Okay, you have the right to take offense to what he said. Don't get out there in front of everybody and start yelling and doing all of that stuff, bro. Conduct yourself with a little bit of class, as Dricus called him out on in the post-fight press conference and post-fight interviews. After out of the octagon, when he's got his nice suit on, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, chill. Conduct yourself with a little bit of class. You know, you're the middleweight champion of the world and considered to be one of the greatest fighters of all time. What are you worried about me for? Conduct yourself with a little bit of class. While meanwhile, I feel like this was a Michael Jordan kind of situation where Izzy is looking and grasping for anything in a lot of these fights to pump himself up, to hype himself up, to go in there to do the work and to be the greatest fighter ever and do his thing. And so I just wanted to make a little video about that to break that down because I'm just seeing primarily coming, from the MMA hour, this whole tone and vibe of why can't anyone see that this is about what the South African history, and you can't say these things and the racial undertones, and they're there and we need to speak on this, and it's there. I don't understand why people can't see that and why they didn't want to talk about it, because that's not what it is. That's prevalent in everything. Y'all had a welterweight champion from Ferguson, Missouri, during the time that everything was popping off with Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin and the riots and protesting and all this stuff. Y'all had a welterweight champion from Ferguson, Missouri, one of the areas where the protests were going on. And y'all wasn't beating a lot of drums about race then. Wasn't nobody helping out Tyron Woodley. Everybody's like, oh, we hate Tyron Woodley. And he was right there in the thick of it, trying to help out his city. So don't come now trying to talk about, well, how can we not talk about race? Well, I just want to, why does anyone want to talk about that? And I think that's what Dricus, we have to understand what, it can be taken, what Dricus said, in a racial undertone. Bro, anything can be taken like that. Let's be real, okay? The man was trying to get a fight. While he might have not worded it exactly how you would have worded it or whatever, he's an athlete. He worded it how he knew how to word it. And guess what? It worked. On Saturday night, UFC 290, International Fight Week, he defeated Robert Whittaker. I'm saying that as a tremendous Robert Whittaker fan. I picked Robert Whittaker to win the fight. Dricus du Plessis defeated him and is now about to get a shot at the middleweight championship of the world. That's what it is. That's just what it is. And I know Izzy's the popular champion right now. He's a popular guy. Well, the tide is turning after Saturday. Probably shouldn't have got drunk. Probably shouldn't have hurled racial slurs in the middle of the cage. Also, another thing. Dana White is inside of the cage. And Dana White, my wife says, why is Dana White going into the cage? There's no title on the line. What's he even doing there? Dana White is going to the cage because this is all planned. They flew Izzy there. They want him there front and center for whoever wins. Dana probably already told him, bro, whoever wins, hey, get up. We walk in the cage, bring your jewels, bring your necklace, bring your pearls, and your black T-shirt with the white letters. We going inside, and we gonna face you off against the winner. So that's already a done deal. That way they had the B-roll. They got the camera footage. They got the two facing off. Look at each other, staring at each other. Maybe a shove. Maybe cut somebody out. Maybe Marab shows up, puts on the Beat It Michael Jackson coat, the Thriller jacket. Who knows, bro? You know what I'm saying? Marab's there. He's got on Izzy's pearls. You know what I'm saying? However it works out, you know what I'm saying? Bro, that's what it was going to happen. And they want the footage to be able to piece together to make all of the ads for the pay-per-view and all the YouTube ads and Instagram ads and so on and so forth. Threads. Whatever. Bro. And then Izzy gets out there drunk, half lit, and says all of these slurs. And while they're still going to chop it up as much as they can, they're still going to use it. It's going to be chopped up a lot. Bro, you ruined the actual fight promotion footage, right? While you out here trying to hype up this... we'll check the 36 and me, and we'll find out who's truly African. Because I can tell you I'm drunk, and I don't know what I'm saying. But you need to understand. Bro, you messed up the promo for the pay-per-view, bro. Anyway, the tide is turning, though, now. If you didn't do all of that, Dricus would still be the villain. And I'm sure he's still going to be a villain in a lot of circles. But... bro, you messed it up, bro. You went too far. got a little bit too cocky, a little bit too arrogant, a little bit too full of yourself, thinking you can go in there and say whatever. I can say whatever during the promo. I'm Israel Adesanya. I'm unapologetic. I'm me. I'm the main character in this story. Bro, you go out there and you do that, and my dude, now we can't use the footage. We got to chop it up. We got to blur stuff out. We got to boop and put all of that stuff in there. And it's going to be hard to use it, man. And it's just like Dana White at the post-fight press conference, he's like, they're like, what did you think about, Izzy hurling those racial slurs and N-words at Dricus? And Dana's like, what are you talking about? What do you say? Dana had his little microphone. He's like, what are you talking about? What did he say? And it's like, what do you mean? What did he say? Not only were you were in the octagon, and it was on the loudspeaker for everyone in the arena. The whole world heard it and saw it. You know what he said, bro. And then he just goes, so what? He's African. What? So what? He's black. So what? And it's like, bro. So again, Adesanya just shouldn't have did that. It's just that wasn't the thing to do. Nevertheless, it's gonna be a big fight. It's gonna be it could be a little sticky of a build when you got guys like, certain people kind of, adding on to this whole narrative and these racial undertones, which I don't really believe were really there, prior to, because a lot of the time the media props up Izzy and makes him believe, yeah, you're right, Izzy, because everybody's just so in love with the guy. But nevertheless, what we witnessed was Dricus du Plessis realize his dream. His real dream is, of course, if he wins the championship, but he realized his dream. He's in the conversation, and now he's getting the title shot. And there's no reason that prior to beating Robert Whittaker, there's no reason that he should even have been there. In a whole other world, had he not said what he said, he'd still be fighting, what was he, like number 6 in the world or something like that? He'd be fighting number 5 and number 4, and maybe fighter pulls out, he's got to go in and fight number 9. He's not getting a title shot no time soon. He's not even getting a crack at Robert Whittaker. You know what I'm saying? But he called his shot. He said what he said. He got it there. Let's just get into the fight. Let's not worry about, there's this undertone. Don't worry about all that, all right? Just whatever. Nevertheless, shout out to the MMA Hour. I love Connor Burks. I love New York Rick. Shout out to Ariel Helwani, the GOAT of MMA journalism. It was just something that I'd seen I wanted to speak on. And if that's truly what he believes, more power to him, because he's not a guy that I think is going to sell or weave something just to sell it. So there it is. That was all I want to talk about today. I appreciate you guys for joining me for another video here on Matter of Fact MMA. We're going to be coming right back with you, where I'm going to break down the flyweight championship fight from 290. So until then, I see you next time, and peace.